Welcome to my channel 365 Blend Bytes. In this tutorial, I'll guide you through creating gauge chart in Excel to display the cost performance index and schedule performance index for a project. Here's a quick look at the final gauge chart in action, dynamically reflecting the project's CPI and SPI statuses. As you change the values, the needle will automatically move to the appropriate position, updating the project status, whether critical, at risk, underperforming, on track, or ahead. This chart will also include a concise description of the recommended actions based on the project's current status. You'll learn how to set up dynamic formulas, create a visually appealing gauge chart, and implement conditional formatting for effective project tracking. Before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. Open Excel and enter the following headers. In cell A1, type CPI status. In B1, type CPI value. And in C1, type CPI action resolution. Highlight the range from A1 to C2, then under Home tab select Format as Table. Choose a table style of your choice and check Mark My Table as headers, then hit OK. Again highlight the range and under the Table Design tab, click Convert to Range to maintain the color formatting while removing the table structure. This method facilitates easy application of color and styles as we input data in cells without the need for manual adjustments. Type this formula in cell A2 to dynamically update the project status based on the indicator value. If the project value is less than 0.41, the status will be critical. If the value is less than 0.71, the status will be at risk, and so on. Hit Enter. Next, enter this formula in cell C2 to dynamically update the action or resolution based on the project status. If the project status is critical, the action will be audit costs and adjust priorities. If the status is at risk, the action will be control expenses and reassign resources, and if on track, then monitor progress, and so on. Based on the value in B2, these formulas will display the project status in A2 and the corresponding action or resolution in C2. This data will automatically update the gauge chart, which we will discuss later in this tutorial. You can customize the status, values, and actions or resolutions according to your project's needs, as I am using sample data for demonstration purposes in this tutorial. Next, highlight cell A2. Then navigate to Conditional Formatting, select Highlight Cell Rules, and then choose Text that contains. In the pop-up window, type Critical. And from the drop-down menu select Custom Format. Set the fill color to red. And the text color to white. Then hit OK. Now, if you change the value in cell B2 to 0.3, the status will display as critical, with a red background and white text. To expedite and save time, repeat the following steps for the remaining statuses. At risk, orange fill with white text. Underperforming, 25% darker orange fill with white text. On track, green fill with white text. Ahead, dark blue fill with white text. This ensures each status is clearly distinguished by its fill color while maintaining consistent text color. Next, enter the following headers and data to create gauge chart. In cell A4, type CPI status. In cell B4, type segment value. In cell C4, type label value. In cell D4, type section. In cell E4, type section value. In cell F4, type indicator value. Highlight the cell range and choose Wrap Text in Alignment Group under Home tab. Under the CPI status column, input the following statuses as critical, at risk, underperforming, on track, ahead, and total. Highlight the data range from A4 to E10. Then under Home tab select Format as Table. Choose a table style of your choice and check Mark My Table as headers, then hit OK. Keep Range highlighted and under the Table Design tab, click Convert to Range to maintain the color formatting while removing the table structure. Adjust the row and column widths to ensure that the text in each cell fits neatly. Next, let's input the values in the segment value column for each status. These values will be used to define the segments of the gauge chart. highlight the values in the segment value column, then click on Sum under the editing group to calculate the total. Drag the formula across to the adjacent cells on the right to get the total for the other columns as well. Next, input the values in the label value column, which will form the second layer of the gauge chart. I will use two main sections with values of 1 each. While additional sections can be added for more labels directly on the second layer, for this tutorial, the label will only be applied to the needle indicator, which you will see once we complete the gauge chart setup. Under the section column, input the following data: pre-measure, risk indicator, post-measure, and under section value in cell E5 type equals and then choose the cell B2 and hit enter. This will display the pre-measure value. For the risk needle indicator size, input the value as 0.03. For the post-measure, type equals and then select cell B10. Subtract the values in cells E5 and E6, then press enter. This data will represent the third layer of the gauge chart, which will be used to create the needle indicator. We need to sum the values in column E instead of column D. Drag the formula to column E to apply the sum and then delete the sum formula from column D. Now you can see that the sums of the segment value and section value columns are equal. This balance is essential for achieving a precise and visually accurate representation in the gauge chart. If we make any changes to the CPI value, the data in the section value column will update accordingly. However, the total must remain the same to ensure consistency and accuracy in the gauge chart. Now, highlight the data range in the section value column and use the Format Painter to apply the formatting to the adjacent cell range. Next, add the header as an indicator label in cell F4. Before inputting data under the indicator column, select cell C1 and use the Merge option with adjacent cells to enhance visibility. Do the same to C2 as well. This adjustment will not impact other columns and will improve readability. Highlight the data range from A1 to F2, and then, from the font group, apply thick outside borders. Do same to another data range as well. Now, click on cell F5, type equals, and select cell E6 and hit enter. In cell F6, type equals, and choose cell E5. Similarly, in cell F7, type equals and select cell E7. This setup ensures that while the actual data indicator label on the needle is 0.03, the label displayed will now reflect the CPI value, which is subjected to change based on project progress and currently is positioned at 1.6. This column will serve as the label, representing the data of the section value, which I will demonstrate during the gauge chart setup. Next, to create the gauge chart, go to the Insert tab, then under the Charts group, click on Pie Chart and select Donut Chart. With the chart highlighted, go to the Format tab, then navigate to Shape Fill. And choose Plum with 40% lighter. Again go to Shape Fill. Click on Gradient, select More Gradients. And choose Gradient Fill. Adjust the position of middle gradient stop to 68%. And remove another gradient stop. Then for the last stop, set the fill color to Plum lighter 40%. Next, go to Shape Outline, select Plum with 50% darker. And set the line weight to 3 points. Next, go to Shape Effects, then under Shadow, select Offset Top Right from the outer options. After that, go to Bevel and choose Cutout. Resize the chart to make it slightly larger for better visibility. Next, select the data range from A4 to B10 and press Ctrl+C to copy it, then press Ctrl+V to paste it inside the chart to display the data segments. Next, copy data range C5 to C10 as well and paste it inside the chart to incorporate the labels. Furthermore, copy the data range E5 to E10 and paste it inside the chart to include the section values. Click on the legend in the chart and delete it. Next, click on one of the data series segments inside the chart to activate the Format Data Series options on the right. Then, set the angle of the first slice to 270 degrees. This adjustment will accurately reposition all 3 layers for proper alignment. Change the donut hole size to 45% to adjust the chart's proportions and enhance visual clarity. Select the outer layer of the chart. Then go to the Format tab. And under Shape Outline choose No Outline. Repeat these steps for the middle and inner layers to remove their outlines as well. Single-click on the outer layer to select it, then click on the bottom half segment. From the fill options, choose No Fill. This method ensures precise selection of individual segments without affecting the entire layer. Repeat this process for the bottom sections of the other two layers to maintain consistency and clarity and pave the way for the gauge chart. Next, single-click on the middle layer and click again to select the filled section. Navigate to the Format tab, choose Fill, and apply Plum Darker 50%. Again go to Shape Fill, then select Gradient and choose More Gradients. And click on Gradient Fill. Select First Stop. And from Fill option, set the first stop to Plum 80% lighter. The second stop to Plum 40% lighter. And keep the final stop as Plum Darker 50%. Add an additional stop. And fill it with Plum 25% darker. And adjust the second and third stops to achieve a visually appealing gradient. Set the gradient direction to linear diagonal from bottom left to top right. Go to the Format tab, select Shape Effects, and under Bevel, choose Round Convex. Next, select the inner layer of the gauge chart with a single click. Go to Shape Effects, choose Bevel, and select Angle. Now, first, select the inner layer of the gauge chart with a single click, then click on the first segment representing the critical status. Go to the Format tab, select Shape Fill, navigate to Gradient, and choose More Gradients. In the Format Data Point window, select Gradient Fill. And remove the middle two default stops. From Fill option, set the last stop color to red. And the first stop to orange. Position the red stop at 60% for an enhanced look. This segment represents the critical portion of the project status, so it will be predominantly red with a hint of orange. Next, select the second segment. Again, go to Gradient Fill. Setting the last stop color to orange. And the first stop to a 25% darker orange. This segment will represent at-risk status. For the third segment, which indicates underperforming, set the final stop color to the 25% darker orange. And the first stop to green. From Direction, choose linear diagonal top right to bottom left. Position the last stop at 40%. Now, for the fourth segment, which signifies on track, temporarily increase its segment value to 1 for better visibility. Once visible, select this segment and from Gradient Fill, set the last stop color to green. And first stop color to dark blue. Change the gradient type from linear to radial for a more refined effect. Finally, for the fifth segment representing the ahead status, set the first stop color to dark blue. And the last stop color to green. Position the green stop at 100%. And dark blue stop at 51% for an enhanced look. Revert the on-track value back to 0.01 to maintain the accuracy of the gauge chart. Select the outer ring of the gauge chart and navigate to the Chart Design tab. Choose Change Chart Type. And for the last series, Series 3, change the chart type from donut to pie chart. Ensure you tick the secondary axis box and hit OK. Keep the pie chart highlighted, then go to the right pane under Format Data Series and set the angle of the first slice to 270 degrees. Next, single-click on the first segment of the pie chart and select No Fill from the Fill options. Repeat this process for the last segment as well, and you will now see the needle indicator become visible. Now, select the pie chart and then select Needle Indicator by single-clicking on this segment. Go to Shape Fill, choose Gradient. Then More Gradient and click on Gradient Fill, and set up the gradient stops as follows. First stop. Fill with red color. Add second stop. And fill with orange color. Add third stop. And fill with orange 25% darker color. Add fourth stop. And fill with green color. And fifth stop. Fill with dark blue color. Ensure the stops are aligned equally for a more visually appealing look. For a more refined appearance, set the direction to linear down to align the gradient colors with the chart's visual flow. Then, go to Shape Effects, and under Preset, select Preset 5 to add depth to the needle. Next, we need to add data labels to the needle indicator. Right-click on the pie chart, select Add Data Labels, and you'll see default values appear. To reflect the CPI value instead of the default indicator, 0.03, right-click on the labels and choose Format Data Labels. Enable value from cells and select the range from F5 to F7 and click OK. Deselect the leader lines and value to keep only the custom values visible. This is why we added an additional column as the indicator label to reflect actual CPI value label. Remove the additional labels, keeping only the label on the needle indicator. Right-click on this label, go to Change Data Label Shape, and choose a speech bubble rectangle with rounded corners. Select the label. And from Shape Styles, choose Colored Outline with Plum. Enhance the label by selecting Word Art Styles and choosing Gradient Fill Plum Accent with Reflections. To ensure readability, go to Home tab and make the text bold. And set the font size to 14. Now, if we change the CPI value, it will update the label on the needle, and the needle will move accordingly to reflect the updated data label. To finalize the visual setup, select the chart. Then go to Chart Design. And from Add Chart Element, click on Chart Title and choose Above Chart. And name it as CPI value. Select the title. And format this title with Word Art Styles using Gradient Fill Plum Accent with Reflections to maintain a cohesive design. Go to Home tab and increase the font size to 24. And make it bold for prominence. Next, navigate to the Insert tab, click on Shapes, and select the ribbon title down shape. Draw the shape inside the chart area. With the shape selected, enter $sign in the formula bar and choose cell C2 to dynamically display the relevant actions and resolutions linked to this cell. Format the ribbon with Gradient Fill Plum Accent with Reflections. And set the shape outline to Plum Accent 5. Go to Home tab. Center and middle align the text. Make the text bold. Go to Shape Format, then click on Shape Outline and select Plum 50% darker for the outline color. Next, return to Shape Outline, navigate to Weight, and choose 2¼ points to set the desired thickness. Furthermore, go to Shape Effects and select Shadow, choosing Inside Center to give a subtle depth. Then, add a reflection by selecting Tight Reflection, touching for a polished look. Align the ribbon to ensure it fits perfectly within the chart, giving a cohesive and professional appearance. Go to Home tab and increase the text size to 14 for better visibility. Adjust the size of the ribbon shape to ensure the text fits perfectly, enhancing the overall visual appeal and readability within the chart. Now, if we change the CPI value, the ribbon shape will automatically display the corresponding actions or resolutions, providing dynamic feedback based on the updated value. To create an interactive element, use the Camera tool. Select cell A2 showing project status. Click the Camera tool. And place the captured picture in the chart area. This method retains the dynamic color coding from the conditional formatting applied to A2. Unlike shapes, which reflect only the data linked to a cell without the formatting, the Camera tool captures both, making it an ideal choice in this scenario. Navigate to Picture Effects, select Preset, and choose Preset 5. Then, go to Glow, and select the 8-point plum option to enhance the visual appearance. Select the ribbon shape, go to Shape Effects, and set the glow to plum 5 points to maintain consistency with the chart's theme. Let's change the value and observe how it works. Perfect, it responds as expected. You'll notice that if I move the chart, the picture and shape won't move along with it. To sort this issue and for a more organized appearance, select the project status picture, then press and hold the Control key while selecting outer edge of the gauge chart and the ribbon shape. Right-click and choose Group to unify all elements. Now, as I move the chart, the shape and picture will move in unison. This approach minimizes the need for repetitive realignment. Position the group chart over the data table to keep the workspace tidy, as the table will no longer require direct modification. Now that we have completed the CPI gauge chart, let's proceed to create the SPI chart. Here's a quick and easy tip to streamline the process. Right-click on Sheet 1, choose Move or Copy. Then check Create a Copy and click OK to generate a duplicate sheet. Next, select the range that includes the gauge chart and data table, right-click, and select Cut. Navigate to the main sheet and paste the selection into a blank area. This method provides a separate gauge chart with its own data table. Delete column J to reduce the space between the two charts. Rename chart title to SPI value. Move the gauge chart to reveal the data table behind it. Change all the headers of the second data table from CPI to SPI. Additionally, adjust the header color of the second data table to orange 25% darker to distinguish it from the CPI table. All formulas and data in the SPI gauge chart table will remain unchanged, except for cell L2. In L2, update the formula to reflect SPI-specific calculations. Ensuring that the actions and resolutions correspond to the project status, such as when critical, audit schedule redefine tasks. And if at risk, adjust timeline balance workload and so on. As we no longer need to make changes to the data table, we can place the second chart over it to conceal it. I will adjust the size under Picture Format tab to ensure both charts fit well and align perfectly. You may need to make these fine adjustments consistently to ensure optimal alignment and presentation. Click on the ribbon shape in the SPI chart, and in the formula bar, update the cell address to L2 to reflect the new action resolution. Click on the SPI ribbon shape, then go to the Shape Format tab. And use the word art style gradient fill plum accent with reflections. From Home tab, set the font size to 14 and make the text bold to maintain consistency with the CPI ribbon. Click on the edge of the SPI chart. From the Shape Fill options, select green with lighter 60%. Then go to Gradient Fill and choose the Linear Up variation. Click on the Indicator Data label of the SPI chart. Go to the Format options, and under Shape Styles, choose a colored outline in green. Click on the chart title and change its text color to dark green with 50% darker. To select the underlying donut chart when it's obscured by a pie chart, first click to select the pie chart, hold the Control key and press the up arrow key to cycle through the chart layers until the donut chart is selected, then use the right arrow key to choose the specific segment of the donut chart. This approach facilitates easy access to the desired chart layer. Go to Format tab. And from the Fill options, choose Gradient, then More Gradients. And select Gradient Fill. Set the first stop to dark green lighter 80%. Then second stop to dark green 40% lighter. Then third stop to dark green 25% darker. And the last stop to dark green with darker 50%. Next, select the ribbon shape. Go to Shape Styles and choose a colored outline in dark green. From Shape Effects, set the shadow to inside top. And the reflection to tight reflection touching. Also, adjust the shape outline to 2¼ points. Furthermore, select the text within the ribbon shape and change the text color to dark green. Lastly, delete the project status picture in SPI chart. Then select cell J2. Use the camera tool again to capture the SPI status and integrate it into the new chart. Click on Project Status Picture in CPI chart. Go to Home tab, then click on Format Painter. Apply on SPI Project Status Picture, ensuring a consistent and dynamic display format across both charts. Then go to Picture Format tab and under Picture Effects. Choose Glow and set Glow to 8-point dark green. Navigate to the View tab. And uncheck the Grid Lines option. This will provide a cleaner and more polished appearance to the entire chart. Click on the Ribbon Display options to expand the view, and let's switch to full screen mode to see both gauge charts in their entirety. These gauge charts are dynamic, meaning any changes to the CPI or SPI values will be instantly reflected. The needle indicators will adjust accordingly, and the associated actions or resolutions will update based on the input values. This dynamic setup allows for real-time tracking and analysis, making it an effective tool for monitoring project performance. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth content. Your support helps us continue providing valuable tutorials. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.